In the suburbs of Boston on a June evening, when the air feels pleasantly cool. My name is Rachel Miller. I'm 36 years old, living with my 7-year-old son Oliver in a quiet residential neighborhood in Newton. I work as an IT project manager while managing life as a single mother. It's been a year since my divorce. The split from my ex-husband Michael was due to his 3-year affair. Now he started a new life with Ashley, his former mistress. As an executive at a real estate development company, his annual income is $300,000. Meanwhile, I earn $80,000. Still, determined to keep my son in the same school district, I desperately continue paying the mortgage on this house. I cut back on fixed expenses and don't mind working overtime. When I think it's for my son, none of it feels like a burden. Oliver is in 2nd grade. He's an energetic boy who loves soccer. Although he maintains a cheerful demeanor despite his parents' divorce, my heart aches when I occasionally catch glimpses of his loneliness. He spends every other weekend at his father's new home, and each time he returns, he talks about Dad's pool and new games. During those moments, I struggle to maintain my smile. On weekdays, I drop Oliver off at after-school care at 7 a.m. and pick him up at 7 p.m. It's a routine we've finally managed to establish. Michael's child support is $1,500 per month, thankfully paid without fail. I have primary custody, and he has visitation rights every other weekend. There are moments when I feel like giving up, but seeing Oliver's smile gives me the strength to keep going. We have a special time in our lives. It's the phone calls from my mother, Elizabeth. Although she lives far away caring for my father who has dementia, she never misses her weekly calls with Oliver. After finishing his homework after dinner, my son eagerly awaits his grandmother's call. The peaceful conversation time on the living room phone has become our emotional support since the divorce. Ashley, who became Michael's new wife, was originally his secretary and is the daughter of a local dignitary, a perfectionist. I hear she's currently undergoing fertility treatments. Looking back, she wasn't just young and beautiful, but possessed an extraordinary level of obsession. Perhaps that was a dangerous sign I couldn't recognize at the time. My ex-husband, outwardly gentlemanly but inherently self-centered. And his new wife. I must desperately protect our current peaceful life. But that's not a bad thing. I'm rather grateful that my son and I can live here, just the two of us. That day too, twilight came as usual. The warm aroma of dinner wafted from the kitchen, and Oliver was working on his homework in the living room. Outside the window, the early summer breeze gently rustled the trees. Just as I finished cleaning up after dinner, my son's voice rang out. "Mom, it's almost 7:30. Time for Grandma's call." Oliver, having finished his homework, called out excitedly while pointing at the living room clock. His math workbook was neatly put away, and his desk was already tidy. "That's right. You've finished your homework properly. What are you going to talk about today?" I asked, peering into the living room from the kitchen. I hadn't known that my mother looked forward to these calls with my sons so much. "I want to tell her about the soccer game the other day." Grandma always asks about my games. I scored 2 goals today. My son's voice was overflowing with joyful anticipation. Mother would surely be delighted to hear about his success in the soccer game. Right as the clock struck 7:30, the landline rang. A perfectly timed call, as if marking time itself. Oliver rushed to pick up the receiver. "Hello, this is Oliver." "Oh, Grandma." While watching my son happily talking on the phone, I began putting away the remaining dishes. Recently, these phone conversations had become an important routine in Oliver's life. I was grateful for these calls, which had surely helped us get through the unstable period after the divorce. The next day, I casually asked Oliver. We were sitting across from each other at the breakfast table. "You've been talking to Grandma every day lately, haven't you?" "Yes. She calls every day. She asks about Dad's pool and stuff. Yesterday, I told her about the new slider they got." A small sense of unease sprouted in my heart. Mother had promised to call once a week, certainly. But I hadn't heard anything about daily calls. Would she even have time for that, busy caring for my father? That night, after some hesitation, I called my mother to check. "Mom, have you been calling Oliver every day?" "What?" "I've been so busy with caregiving these past 2 weeks, I haven't been able to call at all. Your father's condition has been a bit unstable." There was confusion in my mother's voice. Her usually calm tone clearly showed signs of agitation. "But Oliver says every night at 7:30. I could hear my own voice trembling. "That's when I feed your father dinner, I couldn't possibly make calls then. Besides, when I do call, it's always after 8. After hanging up, my sense of unease transformed into certainty. This wasn't just a misunderstanding. Someone was impersonating my mother and talking to my son. The thought sent chills down my spine. The next day, I decided to eavesdrop on my son's phone call. Though I felt guilty, I convinced myself this was necessary to protect him. As usual, at 7:30. While putting away dishes in the kitchen, I picked up another handset. My son was waiting for the phone in the living room. My hands trembled with tension, which I desperately tried to hide by holding the dishes. When the clock struck 7:30, the phone rang exactly on time. I heard Oliver pick up the receiver, and I quietly pressed the button on my handset. The voice I heard through the receiver certainly sounded like my mother's. But something was off. The subtle intonation, the rhythm of speech, everything was slightly different. "Oliver, how have you been? Is your father's new house fun?" The voice sounded just like my mother's, but there was something clearly off about these questions. My mother would ask about school first. "I went swimming in the pool the other day. They got a new slider too." "My, how wonderful. Is Ashley being nice to you?" The mother, on the phone, brought up a new topic. My mother rarely mentions Ashley's name. She always buys me toys. She said she'll buy me a new game console next time. "I see. Say, is your mom busy with work lately?" My heart jumped at this question. Yes, but she's never late picking me up. Mom's working hard. I see. Does your mom have any friends coming over? Any men? That was the decisive moment. My mother would never ask such questions. At that instant, I felt my spine freeze. This was clearly someone trying to gather information. Moreover, this someone seemed to know everything about our lives. As days passed, the unnatural questions increased. Daily routines, my behavior patterns, questions hinting at our economic situation, details about after-school care. Mother was gradually delving deeper into the specifics of our lives. What we ate for dinner, how we spent our weekends, how we managed our finances. It was as if someone was meticulously monitoring our lives. Oliver's behavior began to show subtle changes too. He started talking more about life at his father's house. The luxurious pool, new game consoles, weekend activities. He began occasionally saying things like, "Dad's house seems more fun. Dad's house has a pool with a slide. Ashley bought me a new game. A really expensive one. The kitchen at Dad's house is like a restaurant. They have a chef who cooks for us." And what concerned me most was the increase in positive comments about Ashley. "Ashley is really nice. She always gives me hugs. Ashley decorated my room like Disneyland. There are lots of delicious snacks at Dad's house. Ashley makes them specially for me." Every time I heard such words from my son, my heart tightened. The life I was desperately maintaining as a single mother suddenly seemed fragile. At work too, situations gradually changed. Sudden overtime increased, making me get home later. Important meetings would suddenly be scheduled, nearly making me late for picking up from after-school care. Though I managed to get by with colleagues' help, I worried I might reach my limit soon. Concerns started being voiced from the after-school care. "Your pickup times have been getting a bit late lately. Is work difficult? We've noticed Oliver seems a bit restless. Has anything changed at home? He's been talking more about his father's house lately." And then there were my casual posts on social media. Words venting frustrations about parenting and work fatigue. Another day of overtime. Being a single mom is tough. Desperately managing Oliver's drop-offs and pickups every day. Struggling with money management. I hadn't yet realized that these might come back as arrows aimed at me. What was once a peaceful family time on the phone had become an eerie period where I could sense an invisible enemy. The time that once symbolized warm family bonds was now filled with anxiety and doubt. I had to get to the bottom of these changes. To protect my son and our life. But who could I consult? The police? A lawyer? The more I thought about it, the more anxiety coiled around my neck like a snake, tightening its grip. One morning, after dropping off my son at after-school care as usual and heading to the office, I noticed a thick envelope in the mailbox. It was from Bradley and Associates, the most prestigious law firm in Boston. The law firm owned by Ashley's father. The expensive paper envelope bore the firm's emblem in gold leaf. Opening the envelope with trembling hands, The moment I saw the first line, my world stopped. Notice of petition for change of custody. Michael Miller had filed a petition seeking sole custody of Oliver. I shuddered at the perfection of the attached documents. The petition exceeded 30 pages. Each page was meticulously arranged with careful reasoning and evidence denying my parenting ability. The text, written in the law firm's solemn typeface, seemed to condemn me. The petitioner determines that the respondent Rachel Miller's custodial environment is significantly inappropriate for the healthy development of the minor, Oliver Miller. The attached evidence showed they had thoroughly investigated my daily life. First, detailed reports from the after-school care. Records from the past 3 months, with dates, times, and situations meticulously documented. Next, overtime records from my company. Detailed data that could only have come from internal human resources documents. I couldn't understand how they had obtained these. They showed the reality of my long working hours in cold numbers. Even more shocking were excerpts from my social media posts. Casual complaints about parenting, work fatigue, financial worries. All arranged as evidence of my lack of parenting ability. Even post dates and times were carefully recorded. And most devastating were the recorded conversations with my son. They were clearly edited with intentional context manipulation. Only parts where Oliver talked happily about life at his father's house were extracted, followed by statements of dissatisfaction about life with me. The 20-minute audio recording was edited to create the impression that my home was an inappropriate environment for my son. From that day on, I began desperate investigation. First, records of the mysterious 7 o'clock calls. In a newly bought notebook, I meticulously recorded dates, times, and conversation contents. The unnatural questions, words probing for information, it gradually became clear they were being conducted systematically. All conversations seemed designed to monitor my life and search for weaknesses. I also organized my son's behavioral changes chronologically. Dad's house is more fun. Ashley is always nice to me. Mom, why do we live in such a small house? I wish we had a pool like Dad's house. Ashley always watches over me. When these words were said, in what situations? I recorded as many details as possible, including the context before and after each statement. Unnatural events at work now appeared to have different meanings. Sudden important meetings. Always conflicting with after-school care pickup times. System malfunctions requiring overtime. Project deadlines suddenly moved up. Were these really coincidences? I carefully began gathering information from those around me. The after-school care teacher hesitantly told me. Actually, I've noticed a stranger taking photos several times since last month. Like they were observing Oliver. A man in a black suit, driving an expensive car. Recently, we received inquiries about Oliver from someone we didn't know. They identified themselves as being from a law firm. They asked detailed questions about pickup times and your behavior as a mother. Concerning information also gathered from neighbors. Lately, there's often a black SUV parked here. It looks like someone inside is watching the house with binoculars. I've seen men in suits lurking around your house. On weekends, strangers come to take pictures of your house. Cars are often parked on the street late at night. Unexpected testimonies came from colleagues too. I heard that meeting that day was actually suddenly cancelled. But somehow, Rachel, you were the only one who didn't get that message. The system malfunction only affected your computer. The important client meeting, I heard they actually sent a cancellation notice. The data corruption, the timing might have been unnatural. The more evidence I collected, the stronger my conviction grew that this was a planned strategy. The phone conversations, workplace incidents, social media posts, everything might have been a carefully planned trap. Every aspect of my life might have been manipulated by someone. I desperately continued taking notes, carefully recording each memo, each testimony. Someday surely, the time would come to reveal this truth. To protect my son, and our life. Even when tears blurred my vision, making it hard to write, the notebook grew thicker day by day. Then I realized. This wasn't just a custody battle. This was someone's obsessive scheme to steal our lives, mother and son. That someone was thoroughly monitoring and trying to destroy our daily life. But I couldn't afford to lose. One June night, at the usual phone time. After Oliver finished his call, he had an unusual expression. "Hey Mom," Grandma's voice sounded weird. Oliver tilted his head as he put down the living room phone. I turned around from the kitchen where I had just finished cleaning up after dinner. "In what way?" It sounded like a robot. And she kept asking the same things over and over. The same things? Yes. She asked, "Is Dad's house fun?" 3 times. And, "Is Ashley nice?" many times. Grandma was weird today. That night, after Oliver had gone to bed, I called my mother. And a shocking truth came to light. Mother said she remembered having her voice recorded. Come to think of it, about 3 months ago. There was this nice project at the care facility called Senior Memories Recording Project. Recording voices of elderly people with family members who have dementia. How did they record it? Well, a young woman came and had me talk about various scenarios. They seemed particularly careful about recording conversations with grandchildren. Lots of everyday conversations like, "Oliver, how are you?" or "Is school fun?" My spine froze at my mother's words. Recorded voice. Daily calls at the same time. Mechanical voice glitches. And repetition of the same phrases. The unnaturalness like a program malfunction. All points connected to a terrifying truth. I couldn't sleep that night. Facing search results on my computer. Articles after articles hitting on the keyword AI voice cloning. Latest technology enables perfect voice replication from just minutes of audio. Breakthrough in voice synthesis technology that can replicate even emotional expressions. Next generation AI capable of real-time conversation, cases of implementation in law firms. Law firms. That word sent lightning through my mind. Ashley's father's law firm. Bradley and Associates, one of Boston's top law firms. I had heard rumors they were actively investing in technology lately. The next day, I consulted with my college friend Sarah, who works at a law firm. In a cafe in the upscale business district, she explained with a serious expression. These cases are increasing lately, especially in custody battles. Using AI for surveillance and information gathering. My firm had a similar case last month. What methods do they use? Voice surveillance, social media analysis, daily life recording, all to build advantage in court. Especially with wealthy clients, using such cutting-edge technology. Sarah's words deepened my conviction. This was preparation for a custody battle. Monitoring my life, manipulating conversations with my son, everything was systematically planned. Using my mother's voice to extract information from Oliver and monitor my life. And using that information to gather material to deny my parenting ability. A perfect plan. But who? The answer was obvious. Ashley Miller. The more I investigated, the clearer the truth became. First, her recent situation. She had failed her third fertility treatment. Right after that, her interest in Oliver intensified dramatically. Frequent visits to after-school care. Expensive presents. Pushing the phrase, new mom. Next, her circumstances. Pressure from her family about inheritance. The succession issue in a prestigious family. The failure of fertility treatments wasn't just a personal matter for her. And her father's law firm. Their website had news about recent technology investments. Among them was the name of a startup specializing in voice recognition and synthesis, Voice Mirror Technologies. According to the article, they had innovative technology that perfectly reproduces even emotional expressions from just minutes of voice samples. The decisive evidence came from Oliver himself. On the way home from after-school care, my son casually mentioned something. "Hey Mom, Ashley said something interesting." What did she say? She said, "Soon, we'll be able to live together all the time, and then, I'm your real mom, but Mom, you're my real mom, right?" The moment I heard those words, all the unnatural events suddenly connected. With trembling hands, I reviewed my recorded conversations. The daily phone questions. Home routines, my work situation, financial status. Everything was gathering materials to deny my parenting ability. Over the weekend, I decided to call Michael to confirm. "What, AI? I don't know anything about that. Ashley wouldn't do such a thing." A curt response. But there was a slight tremor in his voice. "But I have evidence. Stealing my mother's voice, monitoring my son, this is criminal. I could report this to the police." After a moment of silence, his true feelings leaked out. "Let me be honest. Ashley is desperate. After failing the third fertility treatment, she seems to be at her mental limit. There's pressure from her family too. And I owe her father. Owe him. So you're offering up Oliver. Our son. Your own child. You wouldn't understand what it means to become part of the Bradley family. This is parent alienation. It's clearly abuse. You're an accomplice. I should warn you, you won't win against Ashley's father's firm. Through a settlement. Right after hanging up, an email arrived on my PC. The sender was Jim Collins, claiming to be a detective Ashley had hired. The attachments included detailed records of the AI system and communications with Ashley's father's law firm, and evidence that Michael had consented to the plan. I can no longer participate in this plan, the detective confessed. Technical staff reports. Voice synthesis malfunctions. Ashley's persistent instruction emails. Confidential memos from within the law firm. Everything confirmed my suspicions. When I finished reading the email, the doorbell rang. It was already past 9 at night. When I opened the door, Ashley was standing there. Perfectly styled hair, luxury brand suit. But in her eyes, no trace of reason remained. "Rachel, let's talk." As mothers. Her voice was dripping with undisguised madness. I couldn't have children. I tried 3 times, failed 3 times. But Oliver should have been mine from the start. You stole him. The hallway lighting cast an eerie glow on her distorted expression. Events unfolded rapidly. The day after I reported to the police, Ashley was arrested on charges of stalking and illegal acquisition of personal information. The news shocked the local community. Headlines in local papers read, "Bradley family heiress arrested for misusing AI technology in custody battle." The law firm also became subject to a major investigation. Client information leaks, illegal investigative activities, evidence tampering. The Boston legal community was shaken by the series of illegal acts coming to light. Ashley's father was forced to relinquish control of the firm. Michael's visitation rights were severely restricted. His complicity in the plan was proven, and the court decided to allow only supervised visits. The previous bi-weekly free visits were completely lost. Our lives changed significantly too. The company allowed me to work from home, enabling me to spend more time with Oliver. Elizabeth, my mother, moved her father's care facility nearby and relocated to our neighborhood. Now we truly have daily phone calls and regular visits. Oliver started psychological counseling. The false phone calls, the nearly torn-apart family relationships. We needed to gradually heal the wounds inflicted on his young heart. The counselor highly praises his resilience. 6 months later, life is regaining a new stability. Oliver is excelling as the ace player on his soccer team. In a recent game, he scored the winning goal, leading his team to victory. His smile has completely erased his formerly anxious expression. I myself have found a new balance between career and parenting. While utilizing remote work, I've been entrusted with important projects. Above all, I truly appreciate the time spent with my son. My relationship with my mother has also deepened. Every weekend, Oliver and I visit my mother's house without fail, enjoying homemade cookies and spending time talking across 3 generations. Family time bonded by real connections, not technology. Meanwhile, Ashley received a suspended sentence. At the trial, stress from failed fertility treatments and family pressure were considered as mitigating factors. However, the Bradley family's social standing was severely damaged, and she became completely isolated from the community. Her marriage to Michael also collapsed. Fertility treatments were discontinued, and I hear they're living separately. Their once glamorous life had become a distant memory. This incident taught us many things. The futility of pursuing a facade of perfect family life. And the importance of nurturing genuine relationships. How cutting-edge technology, when misused, can become a weapon that tears apart human bonds. Now, Oliver laughs more than before. "Mom, are you coming to watch my game today?" "Of course. Grandma said she's coming too." In these casual conversations lies the happiness of our reclaimed daily life. The dangers of pursuing perfection too much. The dual nature of technology. And above all, the importance of protecting a child's heart. With these lessons in our hearts, we're taking new steps forward. Tonight too, my mother will call. This time, with a real voice.